Hi, everyone. It's Denise Brown from the Caregiving Years Training Academy. We are stressed out during our caregiving experience for many reasons, including that we have stories we carry without a good listener to hear them. And I think about the stories we carry, and it's almost like we search for someone to share those stories with. And instead of finding a listener that just receives the story, we often find someone who hears the story and then jumps in to fix the story, so to speak, meaning they hear a story of pain, which is hard to hear. So they want to take away our pain and they want to tell us what to do. And then you think, as the storyteller, I didn't want you to tell me what to do because I don't need to be fixed. I just need to be heard. So, this idea that we are looking for a good listener inspired part of what we do in our certified caregiving consultant training. We learn how to be an effective listener, and we learn and practice in a few different ways. One of it, which is by hearing 4-minute caregiving stories from other participants. So, our participants will pick a 4-minute story about caregiving. Could be an experience, a situation, a relationship, a moment, a day, anything they pick, they tell it to us. And then as listeners, we use our skills to engage in a follow-up conversation. And I added this in the program several years ago. And what was so interesting to me was that I could see the impact. I didn't expect to actually see it, but I could. So, for instance, during one of our in person training programs before the pandemic, one of our students told a 4-minute caregiving story with a veil almost over her face when she first started it. Now, of course, this was a veil that she wasn't wearing, so to speak. It wasn't like she had a piece of cloth over her face, but she was very guarded. She told the story, we interacted with her using our skills, and then it was like the veil was lifted. She could be who she is, who she was. She was a different person because she had a group of good listeners committed only to receiving the story. Last semester, our interns from University of Illinois, who take the certified caregiving consultant training as well, had a very similar experience. It was 5 women, 5 young women who knew each other, but they didn't know each other on the deep level that storytelling and listening creates. It was so powerful to see the bond that happened because they told these stories that were so heartfelt and received with such compassion. It's amazing. So I believe everybody deserves a good listener. So on January 16th, we're actually going to do a caregiving listener project. Now, January 16th is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is also a day of service. And what better way to be of service than to listen to a story which relieves stress? So, as a listener, you're going to take training, a 2-hour program at no cost to you called The Art of Listening. And then, as a storyteller, you're going to share a 4-minute story about your caregiving experience that you either read or refer to notes about or talk out from the top of your head. You just let it out. So, we're going to teach you how to be a good listener and how to be an effective storyteller as part of this Caregiving Listener project. And we've got a meeting happening in November if you're interested in learning more, because I'm sure you've got some questions after I just explained what this is, thinking, wait, what? How am I going to do this? How am I going to feel comfortable doing this? We're going to make you comfortable as a listener or as a storyteller. So November 18th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I'd love to join you. I'd love for you to join me as I share more details about the Caregiving Listener Project, how you can get involved as a volunteer to listen or to tell a story, and then answer any questions that you might have, because I appreciate you probably have some questions. Okay, so it's the Caregiving Listener Project. It happens on January 16th, which is a day of service. And again, what better way to be of service than to sit with another individual and hear their story so that they can release some stress, so they can have a veil lifted. November 18th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time is an informational meeting where I'll share a little bit more about the program, invite you to join us as a volunteer, and answer your questions. Okay, I'd love for you to be of service on January 16th through our Caregiving Listener Project. Okay, check in the show notes for a link to join me on November 18th. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.